What's up, Deckheads? Welcome back to MTG with me. It's the Gainswalker. Today we're going to walk and talk about Cyclonic Rift. This is a great card. One of the reasons I wanted to talk about this card is because when you're talking about mechanics of cards, this is a very awesome mechanic for blue. When I first encountered this card, it was around Snapcaster time, and people were doing a lot of flashback kind of stuff from the graveyard, and this was really cool way to learn alternative costs. So one thing you wanted to know, like when I first had this, I had it in an American Flash Thunder Maul. I used a bunch of weird stuff in this, like Restoration Angel. I used Rewind, and so I would like Rewind, counterspell on tap 4 lands, then I would play Restoration Angel, blink something. If it was really, really late game, I could blink a Snapcaster, maybe I have 8 mana open, 4 for Resto, 2 for Snapcaster, and 2 to Cyclonic Rift something, and really swing the board state. With Cyclonic Rift, when you're looking at alternative costs, like Snapcaster, when you flash them in, you're giving an alternate cost to something in your graveyard. And because of that, you can't Snapcaster and do an overload. If you look at this card, it's 2 drops. So early game, bounce a non-land permanent back to your opponent's hand. Very, very powerful card. And for its overload cost, which is 7, that's 1 island and 6 others, you can bounce all of them. So, well, it specifically says replace it with each, but it's just amazing what you can do with that. You want to wait until it's your opponent's like end step, you're about to take your turn, bounce everything to their hand, and make them have to discard part of their board state, which nobody likes to do. Then they have to replay everything, and if you watched how they played it the first time, you kind of know how your opponent's about to play what they're putting down. So if you're running counters, that's a really good opportunity to kind of ruin the board state that they're trying to build back up. To do all that with one card, I mean, when you want to top deck something, of all the cards that you want to top deck, Cyclonic Rift is way up on the list. This card is amazing. Like I said, I was running it in an American Flash deck, so I got a lot of value out of it. As far as what the card's been doing since they printed it, I haven't heard anybody say anything bad about this card. It did increase in value. I mean, shoot, I think I pulled one, and I think I got another one for like $5 or something early on, but the price has gone up. I'm gonna pull that up for you real quick. I think it said it was 33, something like that. 36.94 for being that old. I mean, I see this. I hope they reprint it. That would be really cool. I know that would bring the price down, but I had a lot of fun playing the card, so I think a lot of other people should get to experience it as well. This is one of the best bounces that you can get, and really, I mean, even mono blue could get a lot of use out of this, because, I mean, you're countering, blue does a lot of draw, but as far as mitigating things that you couldn't counter, things that maybe you wanted to build a small board state with, usually mono blue puts out a little bit of creatures and tries to control the board state that way, having lots of instances and sorceries in your graveyard, that kind of thing. By adding the bounce mechanic to your deck, like Unsummon is great. 1 drop, turn target creature to its owner's hand. A lot of people think about that and only think about it as returning their opponent's creature to their hand. You can do that to yours too, right? So you can declare it as a blocker after you stop the damage coming in. You can return it to your hand, and if it's got a cool ETB on it, send it out again. It really helps give you some value. Now, return target non-land permanent you don't control to its owner's hand. That's a little bit different, right? So it's not as Not as versatile as an unsummon, I'd say, but it's still very good, and that overload cost is amazing. I only see. I don't. Yeah, I don't think this has ever been reprinted. And looking at Mythic Spoiler, I didn't see any. I just saw a bunch of other cards that were kind of like this one, but this is definitely one of my favorites. I got a lot of value out of it, and I hope if you decide to use this card in one of your decks, maybe even a commander deck, that you get a lot of value out of it too. But one thing I want to say about this card is while I don't play a whole bunch of commander, I have a commander deck, but that's a very popular area where people love to build very unique decks, and you only need one card, so even if it's a little pricey like this one, it still adds a lot of value. But the overload cost for Cyclonic Rift must be hilarious in a commander setting because it says replace target with each. So return target non-land permanent you don't control to its owner's hand. So then it would be return each non-land permanent you don't control to its owner's hand. So you would bounce everyone else's board state but yours. Now you'd make yourself definitely the target after that. I don't think anybody would be happy about that because it takes so long to build those board states. But that would be hilarious. There's also plenty of cards that reduce CMC cost, and most of that is colorless mana. I know there's some cards that do specific mana, but very, very few. But if you had Cyclonic Rift out and a whole bunch, or if you had it in your deck and you had a whole bunch of reduced CMC cost, an early game it'll cost you one. That's not that hard to get. And you just wait for that right time to bounce your opponent's board state, or really their main player. You go against a deck that I guess I'll call them Voltron decks, where they just keep enchanting the same thing and making it really obnoxious to hit. Uh, Early game, if you catch it before they give it hexproof, you can go ahead and just bounce it for two, or if you have the reduced cost one. But late game, since it says each non-land permanent, it doesn't matter if the creature has hexproof. You can get around that. So very useful card, all around amazing. Definitely use this card if you can. Alright, that's going to do it. Remember to stay classy, and as always, until next time, keep it easy.